Welcome to the podium, Channel 310's premier sports comedy talk show. I'm here with my co-host, Eric Abbenante, president of Channel 310. We didn't elect this nigga, but we let him do something. And y'all know, Russell Dorsey, live from Chicago. He's too dark to win a Golden Globe. We're all here to...
Wow. Oh, wow.
I had to take a Golden Globe shot,
I did not think we were starting there.
I had to take a Golden Globe shot. It was there. This nigga's too dark to win a Golden Globe, apparently.
Oh, man.
Yeah, y'all should have nominated Lupita. She played... Like, not only did Lupita act well in Us, she did it twice, my nigga. She played two different roles. She played a good person and a bad person, and they were both perfect. And it's just like, that just shows you how far black women have to go. They got to play two roles to get the recognition that a white woman gets playing one. You know what I'm saying? Scarlett Johansson getting to play Asian people and all this kind of stuff. And Lupita plays two people and don't even get nominated. I'm just upset. But, how are you guys doing?
Great to see you too, Niles. Yeah.
Right, all right. I'm glad you're having a good day.
It's been on my mind all day, man. How y'all doing?
Listen, man, I'm doing well. Ready to talk about some happenings in sports.
Yeah.
How about y'all?
I'm excited. We got two Channel 310 hosts in the building, Arthur Hamilton and Lila Hart. They're watching us right now, so it's a full house in HQ. It's nice. We're gonna have a nice audience for this. All right.
I gotta give one shout out before we start, though.
All right, cool.
To Tom Joyner, the radio legend. Tom Joyner's last day of hosting the Tom Joyner morning show was today, so happy retirement to Tom. He was like my favorite part of riding to school as a kid. Like, we would also always listen to his radio show in the morning. Like, I think like for like all like black people, like I feel like he's definitely like a legend for sure. Like, he started his radio show basically through like protesting because his local radio show didn't play black music, so he like basically started his own, and then he took off, and now he was syndicated in every single city in America. So shout out to Tom Joyner. You're one of the reasons like we podcast, we do all these things as black creatives, and while we make Eric edit shit. So thanks, Tom. Appreciate you. All right, so on to the bronze. Let's get it going. Russ, what's your bronze, bro?
All right, so my bronze medal topic for this week is the Philadelphia 76ers. And honestly, the Sixers have been playing pretty good basketball so far this season. They're the third seed in the East. But my question for you guys is, doesn't it feel like the 76ers should be a little bit better than they are? And it seems like in the middle of December that I might be reaching a little bit. But if you look at all the talent that the Sixers have, Joel Embiid, one of the best players in the game. Ben Simmons, one of the best players in the game. Tobias Harris, one of the best players in the game. The third seed in the East almost seems like that's not reaching their potential. Like, if you look at what they have right now, Embiid's averaging 22 and 12. Ben Simmons is averaging 13, 7, and 8. And Tobias Harris is averaging 19 and 7. So I think Tobias is right where he probably should be. I think that's a really good number for him. I think if you got Tobias Harris averaging 19 and 7, you're going to be winning a lot of games. Ben Simmons is the one that, for me, is just like, all right, like, that's not anywhere near where we think Ben Simmons could be as far as his talent is concerned. 13 points a game, like, it's obviously his shooting has been his biggest issue, but it's almost like he's not driving. Like, obviously he's facilitating, he's grabbing boards, but his scoring ability is what made him one of the most coveted players in the league. And it looks like he's not even looking to score the basketball right now, which to me feels like that limits the Sixers' potential. What do you guys think?
I think it's just a spacing issue. You look at the Sixers, and Joel Embiid has drifted to the perimeter to the three-point line because his point guard, Ben Simmons, is just afraid of shooting a three-pointer. It's like he has the yips when it comes to shooting.
He ain't afraid. He can't do it.
Well, I think there's a reason. I think those two are linked. It's just a major issue. It clogs up the lane for those who want to do anything in the post, and that's why you see Joel Embiid drifting out. I mean, it was funny. Joel Embiid got called out specifically on Inside the NBA on TNT from Shaq and Charles Barkley, and they specifically said, you can coast an average 22, but if you want to be great, you got to average like 28.
28 to 30.
And I think Shaq calling you out is the ultimate, because Shaq actually did coast, but he still coasted to greatness.
Right, he coasted to 3 championships in a row.
And so I think it's a wake-up call to Joel Embiid. What do you think, Niles?
I'm a little surprised at the Sixers so far. I thought I thought adding Al Horford and what's this guy's name? Josh Richardson. I thought
Josh Richardson.
adding them to the lineup it's definitely made them better on defense, but I feel like Eric said, they've definitely sacrificed on the scoring end, especially with the spacing, with Ben not being able to shoot. I even thought this was going to be a better year for Ben, considering he cut off Kendall Jenner this summer. I thought this was going to be a better year for him. I thought the Jenner curse, or the Kardashian curse, was off of Ben Simmons, but his scoring has gone down, and let's see.
Well, with the Jenner thing, I mean,
he hasn't, and I think he's shooting 58% from the free throw line.
Yeah, I was about to say,
which
his free throw
also
percentage has gotten
affects a lot of things because he was going to the line
paint
6 times a game last year.
Exactly.
He's going 3.9 times a game this year, so he's not even being as aggressive going to the hole if your free throws are going down like that.
And that's the thing. I definitely gauge how aggressive you're being going to the paint with a guy that size and how many free throw attempts you're getting. I mean, like you said,
Right.
if you dropped half of what you were shooting last year, that means you're not going to the paint enough. And then it's almost, who cares if you get to the paint because you're making 1 out of every 2 free throws. That's terrible. So it's just like, I think Ben definitely we need more production there. I would say, I mean, obviously the solution is Ben Simmons needs to develop a jump shot, but he just simply has not done that yet. So that's kind of like a thing I would say, but it's kind of wishful thinking at this point, and it's December, so I don't see that changing.
No, you're right.
Year.
Well,
they have the most talent in the Eastern Conference. Like, even with Giannis on the Bucks, they have the most talent.
I think 1 through 5 they're the best team. Besides the Celtics, talent wise, I think that's where I had the Sixers pick to go to the NBA Finals. And now I don't even think they make it to the Eastern Conference Championship at this point.
Well, the elephant in the room is that Jimmy Butler left, and because Jimmy Butler left, he was the alpha male on the team. Mm-hmm. And right now you have a bunch of beta males that are kind of conceding to each other. Joel Embiid doesn't have that killer instinct of like.
I don't know about that.
Well, no, in terms of like he has too much fun. He doesn't have enough.
He has too much fun, dog. If you were a 7-foot African dude that didn't start playing basketball until you were 16, and now you make $20 million a year doing it, nigga, you be having fun too.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Come on, bro.
There are moments in the game when he doesn't like really stand out, and it's like you kind of forget that he's there, and it's like he should be a presence at all times, but he takes himself, negates himself out of plays. And this shows like you just need to have a little bit more drive and work ethic within the game, and you would be a little more consistent. Like Russell was saying, if there was more consistency going to the free throw line, it would mitigate a lot of the nights where your shooting is off.
The team's also not as deep as they were last year as well. Their bench is not that good. In fact, I'm looking at the stats right now. There's nobody on that bench that averages double digits. Nobody.
Well, that's what happens when you trade away key pieces. I mean, they've lost a couple lately, and so it's just going to, there's going to be a little attrition. But you have Al Horford now. He's the person who should be replacing Jimmy Butler in terms of like the leader, the adult in the room, the one that kind of gets them focused. But I don't think that it's enough collectively.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's still, it's crazy to me how young Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons still are. You know what I'm saying? And I think last year they garnered a lot of playoff experience, but it looks like it hasn't really carried over. And they had a heartbreaking loss. Like, people forget this team was 1 win away from going to the NBA Finals. That shot by Kawhi doesn't bounce in. They're playing in the NBA Finals. And so it's just like to have a team to go that far, then you, like you said, you lose Jimmy Butler or whatever. It's kind of they're kind of looking at a sophomore slump, I believe.
The reflection of how they've been dealing with adversity is not good for them. It doesn't show that they know how to respond well to the adversity of the Toronto situation. I'm looking with Niles. I do believe there's going to be a sophomore slump as well.
What are they? The 4th seed right now in the East?
Yeah, they're the 3rd seed right now. Tied for 3rd or
they're tied for 3rd with the Celtics. Okay.
Yeah.
And so there is a opportunity that's right within their grasp, and I feel like they're fumbling it away by just not trying hard enough, which is not excusable.
Because I definitely think with Milwaukee, like, Milwaukee's obviously getting that first seed, so I think there's about 3 to 4 teams in the East that could grab that second seed, and I think you want to be that team to have that home court advantage because that 2-3 seed matchup in the East is going to be a very tight 7-game series. So I'd want to play Game 7 at home, so they need to get it going if they want that spot.
There's no one on Milwaukee who doesn't understand the urgency of the situation that they're in, yet when you look at the 76ers, that's what we feel like they're lacking.
Right. What's your bronze, Eric?
All right, my bronze is the MLB hot stove. There's been a couple people moving, a couple key pieces staying. I would say the 3 key signings were Steven Strasburg. He stays with the Nationals. Garrett Cole, he goes from the Houston Astros to the Yankees. And then Anthony Rendon goes from the Nationals to the Angels. All these contracts are around 230 to like 250. I think, though, Garrett Cole is like 324.
Yep.
It was pretty massive.
Correct.
Pretty massive. So,
First $300 million picture.
yeah.
Right?
Do you think any of these 3 key signings or any of the secondary or tertiary signings below it will have any major impact on any of the teams I mentioned or teams that lost pieces?
Well, I think that first and foremost, I think all the signings are great for Major League Baseball. If you look at last year's offseason versus this year's offseason, there's a lot of movement. Last winter meetings, there was no major free agents who got signed. Everything drifted off into January and even February before spring training, and it made for a really stagnant offseason. This year, there's a lot of teams making moves. There's a lot of teams willing to spend money. There's a lot of teams who want to augment their rosters and become better. But if you look at these contracts, like I think Garrett Cole going to the Yankees, that's good for baseball. Like this is a guy who was drafted by the Yankees in the first round, didn't sign, went to the Pirates, got a chance to win a World Series with the Astros, and then put together one of the best seasons we've ever seen in Major League Baseball, and he cashed in on it. Steven Strasburg staying with the Nationals is also good for baseball because this is a guy who was the number 1 overall draft pick by the Nationals, was the guy, one of their biggest parts of their turnaround besides Bryce Harper, and he stayed with his hometown team. That's great for baseball. And then Anthony Rendon, superstar player, one of the best, if not the best third baseman in the game right now, goes and joins the best player that we might have ever seen in Mike Trout, and they have a lot of upside in Anaheim right now. So all of these moves are great for baseball. It's going to get the market going. There's a lot of free agents still out there for teams to sign, and it's going to be really fun to see.
No, for sure. Definitely the Nationals keeping Strasburg was a big thing. I mean, they're losing so many pieces. That's what happens when you're a team with so much success with young players. Everybody else wants them. You know what I'm saying? So, Rendon leaving, kind of saw that happening. I didn't think he'd stay with the Nationals. Would they want to pay Strasburg $200 million and Rendon $200 million as well? I don't know. But it's just like for him to go to the Angels, I think that's going to be crazy. A lot of bats on that team now with him playing with Mike Trout. I can't wait to see that. It's going to be hard to pitch to a team with them two on there. And then also Garrett Cole going to the Yankees. I like seeing big pitchers in big markets. I don't know. I just really like it.
Yeah.
People get mad at the Yankees have so much money to spend, but hey, I like seeing it. I like seeing what they're going to do. And I think the Yankees, with Cole can take that next step in the playoffs because, they've made it so far in the NL these last couple of years, but I think Garrett Cole can give him that push with a top ace like that. Mad my Dodgers didn't get a top prospect this summer. We got money to spend, but we didn't make it happen. So I'm a little upset about that. But I might go see a Rangers game. I might go see an Angels game, whatever.
Oh shush! The Dodgers are so loaded.
We can always add more pieces though. Obviously we need more because we lost to the Nationals.
That was just you guys not executed. That team is insanely loaded.
That's also true.
Oh well. Okay, in terms of the macro, I thought Russell nailed it, so I won't even go to the macro. Yes, this is good for baseball, as Russell said. In the micro, I really think the Angels, they really actually made a big move here. To have Ohtani, to have Rendon, Trout,
still got Pujols.
And then Pujols. Yeah. Those are 4 solid hitters. Yeah. It's going to be
hard to pitch to those guys.
It's finally a potent lineup. But with the Angels, they have the worst starting pitching in terms of innings pitched, and they have amongst the league's worst bullpens. So they still need to address all those issues. But
still got to pitch. Yeah.
they needed to hold Mike Trout. They needed him to stay there. Yeah. And then, for the Nationals, this is Rendon leaving is a little more painful than Bryce Harper leaving because they already had Soto, Robles in the outfield and all these pieces who could replace, Harper.
Right.
But
and they proved they can go to the World Series without Bryce Harper.
You aren't replacing a young 20-year-old third baseman who was super clutch for you.
RBI machine.
Just very impactful, a leader in the clubhouse. So I think the Angels got a big win, but they still have a lot to address. But the Washington Nationals, they're going to have a tough time defending their title because they lost a lot of their punch.
And then it's just like with these huge contracts, do y'all see any maybe CBA shakeups in some of the other leagues maybe in the future when they see all these baseball guys, like 7 years, $324 million? Like, yeah, that's crazy. But it's like you got these NBA guys, you got these NFL guys. Maybe something could shake up over there as far as cap space goes, or the CBA rules, or maybe we could see another lockout going because like there's so much money going around in baseball that is crazy. Like if I play for the Knicks and I'm putting up 25 to 30 points, why can't I be worth $300 million? You know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it.
I think it's hard when you look at the revenues across and say that it's hard to compare sports when it comes to the revenues part. I think you're seeing some different things in the NBA as far as players taking more control over where they want to be. And some of that is starting to seep into the NFL. I think it's going to be a lot harder to get something like that done in the NFL, guaranteeing contracts, etc. So I'd be hard pressed to say that you're going to see anything like you see in Major League Baseball, just because of the infrastructure of the MLB Players Association and how they're able to work things out with Major League Baseball. It's hard to find that in other leagues where it's as successful. So yeah, it maybe at some point in time, but I don't think you'll ever see the revenue that you see or the salaries that you see in baseball and other sports, purely based because baseball has 162 games.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of work.
From that standpoint, you're gonna have to allocate for that. But maybe maybe I'd say in the NBA before any other sport will you start to see, obviously we've seen the salary cap increase over the last couple of years. So maybe as time goes on, those salaries naturally will go up as well.
Okay.
Well, as far as the answer to why MLB has such a stranglehold on these contracts, back in the 70s, Marvin Miller, who was the head of the Major League Baseball Players Association, he was a mastermind at negotiating, getting all of these rights for the major league players, such as getting your contract guaranteed. He was a revolutionary in terms of that. All the other leagues are still catching up to what he accomplished in the 70s, but when he was doing this, he was not, taking into account all the TV revenue streams and how much money that these leagues would accrue from that source. And now that we're in that new era, that would be maybe the next step, is looking into getting into a piece of that pie from the players, because you look at the NFL, for instance, and there's a lot of the piece of the pie that could be used towards actually healing the players. That could be used in all the sports in terms of paying for their health insurance in their retired careers. So you could see that, but it's going to be hard to catch up to the major leagues because there's no Marvin Miller running any player association in the NBA or the NFL at the moment.
True. The NFL need to get Suge Knight, nigga. That's what y'all tell that nigga to hold Roger Goodell over the balcony and make him give you your money. That's the only way it's changing. They won't pay football players, bro. Just get Suge Knight. We can make it happen. I don't know.
All right.
My bronze. We're gonna keep it in baseball. We can smoke weed now. I love it. The MLB has taken marijuana, THC off of the banned substance list, so now players can freely toke it. I love it. I think it's great. I think this is going to lead into Seth Rogen making some kind of like stoner baseball comedy or something. Get Cheech and Chong sponsor a team, something. Because I feel like the way cannabis is going, eventually there's going to be some big cannabis company that's going to sponsor a team. Like me and Eric were talking earlier. Like, think about it. The Colorado Rockies. Like, there's so much money there. The Seattle Mariners, there's so much money there. So I think baseball is just finally positioning themselves for that. And hopefully this can turn into, set precedents for the rest of the sports. I think the NFL needs to take marijuana off the banned substance list. I mean, like, you literally got dudes running into each other, hitting heads. Like, yo, like, I have a long day at work. I need a blunt. So I can only tell, like, what does a running back need? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and in the NBA, same thing. It's like we're talking about baseball as one of the least physically demanding sports, and they can smoke weed now. So let's let the dudes that's running into each other and diving on the floor for loose balls hit a blunt too before the game. That's all I'm saying. How do y'all feel about this?
You can go.
For me, I think that it does follow the trend of the rest of the country. A lot of states obviously legalizing marijuana, and I think you're right now. It's like you look at something like the NFL, where guys are coming out after they play and say, "Yeah, I smoked all the time. I smoked before every game. I smoked in the training room, or I took edibles and all this other stuff." You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear every week it's another guy saying, "Nah, I played every game high or almost every game high." So, it does set a precedent for other leagues. I think a league like the NFL looks at this and says, "Oh man, maybe time is coming." But with, just like we talked about with revenues, it's hard to see unless something dramatic happens. It's hard to see that change is going to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I find it ironic because in the major leagues, there's literally a team called the Brewers. It's a team named after alcohol. Yeah, we're so, oh my God, it's unbelievable. It's a long time coming. I find it ironic that the sport with the least contact is going to be the one that legalizes marijuana first. Hopefully, like Niles says, the NFL, which needs it most, or the NBA, which uses it the most, will, follow suit, because, it's basically, people are doing it on the low anyways. Like in the NBA, for instance, you have 4 drug tests throughout the year, and everyone after their 4th drug test, they're not going to use it to, use steroids most of the time. They're just excited to smoke weed with their teammates.
Unless you're Rashard Lewis.
Yeah, well, there's going to be a couple, little examples. But most of the time, people just want to, smoke weed during the season. And, I don't think it's such a big deal. In fact, I think it's great progress. And it is kind of funny that the major leagues, just like with Jackie Robinson, they were, being progressive again. I find it.
Baseball is always the first, man. The first black dude. Now that you got weed, I'm telling all the black kids where I'm from, start playing baseball. I'm like, bro, you make more money and you smoke a blunt before the game. Fuck basketball. So that's how I feel about it.
I'm not sure it's great for the game, though, because the one thing about weed is it slows your reaction time. And you're just going to be
That's a lie.
You're just going to be staring at the ball like, oh, I love the rotation on the ball. Ow!
Man, get out of here. You telling me Pete Rose wasn't smoking weed before games? Get out of here.
They do. But it's just, it's going to be fun. It's great. And, baseball, it's the longest game anyways. You could smoke at least, blunt and inning.
Exactly.
I would not suggest that.
I mean, I've definitely had to smoke weed to get through a baseball game watching it on TV. So... Like when the Dodgers played that 18-inning game, 2 years ago, I think we smoked 6 blunts. Anyway, on to the silver topic. My silver topic is, I think the Miami Heat are for real, man. They are currently second in the East, and today I think they had the test of their season today, playing the Los Angeles Lakers at home. They played a tight game up until to the end. They lost by 3. Even had a chance to win it. Jimmy Butler missed a 3-point shot. They even had, I think, up to a 12-point lead at one point. The Miami Heat, I think a lot of people are surprised by how good this team is, because a lot of players on the roster that are playing well weren't even on the roster last year. We didn't know what Tyler Herro was going to be able to do in his rookie year. We didn't know what Kendrick Nunn was going to be able to do in his rookie year. We didn't know how Jimmy Butler was going to be able to fit in with this team. And so, but it's worked out really well, even with injuries. Goran Dragic has been injured. Who else has been injured on that team? Kelly Olynyk was injured for a little bit. He's back. So it's just this team has definitely had some bumps and bruises, but they're still second in the East, and they're definitely surprising a lot of teams that didn't think they were going to have to really play hard coming down to Miami. So I want to know from you guys, what do you guys see this team? What's the ceiling for this team going into the All-Star break, going to the playoffs? Where do you see this team, how they perform towards the end of the year?
I think their ceiling was increased, obviously, with the signing of Jimmy Butler. That helps you a lot. That's a top 15 player in the league. Right. The other thing that they didn't expect, I don't think anybody expected, that has really helped them, was the development of Kendrick Nunn. No. He's come in and been a force offensively this year. kid out of Simeon High School here in Chicago.
Wow, he's a Chicago kid. I didn't know that.
Yeah, really talented player. Play with Jabari Parker.
Okay.
Like this is a guy who didn't get that first opportunity. Got kicked off of his team in college. Had to do the whole G League thing, and then got his opportunity, and he's showing out. So I think that's helped the Heat a lot. Obviously, they're a well-coached team. Eric Spoelstra has been one of the more underrated coaches in the league for a long time now. And then, Tyler Hero's come in and played a big role for them, hitting big shots. And they're just a professional team. Like, they know how to play basketball. And when you have a team like the Sixers, who we were talking about earlier, and you find those teams that just know how to play basketball and are well-coached and are disciplined, and then have a guy like Jimmy Butler who can take the last shot but get guys in order to, like, that's the team that you don't want to see, because that's a team you'll look up and you're down 3-1 wondering how you lost game 4 or the 4th game of the series on your home floor.
Right.
So I think the Miami Heat are a serious contender. The only thing I'd say is they should just stay healthy. Like, if they can stay healthy throughout the season, I think they'll be in really good shape.
Okay.
Well, Pat Riley has done a tremendous job building this team. He's been trying to get back into the East. He was probably just kicking himself watching Toronto do what he was hoping his team could do without LeBron. But I find the team is more of a commentary on the system that Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra have built. The system is really good. I love the way they play. Jimmy Butler is the best person you could have to really, lead the team. But they're a bit skinny. They have this weird thing where every single week they measure your body fat at the Miami Heat. It's like a specific thing that their team does. Yeah. And with a couple of the guys, they need to tell them to put on weight, because they were just getting pushed around tonight by the Lakers. They're all very skinny.
Lakers killed them on the boards tonight.
When you look at the 5 guys on the floor every time, it doesn't look like they add up to 1,000 pounds. It really doesn't. They're very slight people. I mean, they're very finesse and quick, and they're gonna beat a lot of teams just by how quick they are.
Shoot the ball well too.
It's a cool system to watch. They switch very well on defense, but they really need to bulk up if they want to compete with the big boys in the playoffs. It's just when you get into a playoff, series with this team, and you can watch game tape and you can play that style in a repeated manner, they're not going to do nearly as well in the playoffs. This is a system-oriented success, and once people see this repeatedly in the playoffs, it won't be nearly as successful. It reminds me a lot of the Houston Rockets. I love the system that everyone is building, coaching up through the management, but, I feel like they're a year away from serious contention. Yeah.
Teams like Milwaukee and Philadelphia could definitely be matchup nightmares for them in a 7-game series with the size. So I definitely see where you're coming from there.
The thing that I would disagree with you on, Eric, is I think as opposed to the Rockets, I think what they do is sustainable. Defense is always sustainable, right, especially when you have guys who give effort on that end of the floor on every play. I knew I was forgetting somebody. Bam Adebayo has had a really solid season. He's really developed his game, and you can tell that his confidence has grown. I will agree with you. I think they need to get some more size. I'd love to see if they would go after Kevin Love, because I think that would be a really nice piece for them. And when you got to the playoffs, that's a guy with experience who's been there before, grab a lot of boards for you, can score the basketball, and he would be a pick and roll nightmare with Jimmy. I just don't know if they have the pieces to do it. But I think Kevin Love would be a great fit for them.
No, for sure.
Love
and
that.
Y'all know Pat Riley could definitely pull something like that off.
That sounds like a Pat Riley.
I'm happy for Pat. You know what I'm saying? I think this Heat team can give him a last few good seasons, because Pat looked like he on his last leg. That nigga looked like a character off The Irishman. So I don't know. I don't know how long Pat got in the office, man.
Yeah, looking like Bill Clinton.
And, right. But I'm happy. I like this Heat team. It's fun watching them. You can tell they definitely like playing together. They gel together well. Like, I watched a little funny interview with Jimmy and Tyler Herro and Bam. And Jimmy was talking about how he was from the hood and he couldn't swim. And Tyler Herro was like, I can't swim either. And he was like, oh, shit, you cool. You got hood tendencies. So it's just fun seeing another team gel And I like seeing Jimmy playing well in this role because I think it makes the other teams kind of look bad where they're trying to make Jimmy look like he was the problem. Because I never thought Jimmy Butler was the problem in a lot of those situations. I just thought he was paired with a lot of young guys that just didn't want to work as hard as him. And I think he's finally found that spot where he's got some young, hungry guys with no ego that are ready to go. Because, I mean, Tyler Herro's averaging 16 a game right now, and Kendrick Nunn's averaging almost 23 points a game. That's almost 40 points combined from 2 rookies that weren't even in the league last year. So I think that's definitely impressed me. So I'm excited to see what they do going forward.
Yeah, just to clarify, because I thought Russell made a good point. I do think what they do is sustainable, but I feel like when you're talking about getting into like either the Final Four or actually, winning your conference and, getting to the NBA championship, you're talking about teams that are probably very skilled and very large. And so I just feel like they'd get pushed around in those situations. I feel like they're on the path to be a true contender, but right now they're a little young, they're a little green, and you could see it. It doesn't matter how much effort they put in. Anthony Davis just pushing them around. Yeah. And so
I hear you.
They'll get there. I feel like they're a year or two away, but the NBA is one of those leagues you have to lose in the playoffs before you can really win in the playoffs. So I expect them to take that step this year, and then next year we'll see what they can do.
Yep. Russ, what's your silver?
My silver is keeping it in the NBA. A lot of rookies playing really good basketball so far. We talked about a few. Tyler Herro's played really good basketball for the Miami Heat. Kobe White for the Chicago Bulls played really good basketball. Rui Hachimura for the Wizards. Eric Pascal, who nobody knew before the season started with the Warriors, but with all those injuries they had, he's really got a chance to step up and show what he can do at the power forward position. But I think the guy we kind of knew would take over the league and really fit in with his style is Ja Morant.
Ja Morant,
he's played electric basketball, averaging 18, 3, and 6 assists on the season. Bouncy, he's quick, nasty layups. He's been able to distribute the ball well, and he's only going to get better so far. So I think he's honestly hands down the lock for Rookie of the Year. And I don't really think anybody can stop him right now either. God forbid he gets injured. Like, that's not what we want. But he's played really good basketball. The only thing I would say is I want him to bulk up a little bit in the offseason because he's a little thin. He's already had one bad fall where he had to be out a couple games. So really excited about Ja Morant. I think he goes right along with the explosive point guard era we've seen in the NBA over the last 10, 15 years, and it's really going to be a lot of fun to watch that Grizzlies team.
No, for sure. Ja Morant definitely he has a lot of Iverson Westbrook tendencies, like with the athleticism, the way he can get to the rim, the way he can break people down. He's my pick for Rookie of the Year. I think right now Kendrick Nunn has him statistically, just from a points and assists standpoint. But just to see what Ja's doing, where he's like basically like the leader of that offense, leader of that team, I think it's more interesting and more impressive to see how he's doing that on a Memphis Grizzlies team that doesn't really have that much talent. Whereas Kendrick Nunn is kind of playing like the second, third role guy, and he's just really thriving off of Jimmy leading the team. So I definitely think Ja Morant is the lock there. But I think there's a lot of good rookies. Like you talked about Rui Hachimura. Can't leave Tyler Herro out, even though he's also on the Miami Heat. And then definitely Eric Pascal. I mean, he's had, a couple 30-plus point games.
Yeah, he's been playing really well.
He's been playing really well. I'd like to see what he does with the Golden State Warriors, who are just tanking right now. So it's interesting to see that. So I think this is kind of a 3-4 person race. But I mean, just purely off highlights alone, man, Ja Morant is really impressing me. I mean, I think we all knew he was going to be good, but what he's been doing, I mean, he's been breaking down like good defenders in the NBA. Like these are grown men, and this dude is 20, 21. So definitely shout out to Ja. I think he's the Rookie of the Year so far through this
19 actually.
Oh, he's 19.
Yeah, and then here's one of the things. Actually, he might have been a sophomore. He might be 20. I have to check that. But I think the one thing with Ja, and Niles, we talked about this before the draft. I actually, if I was a team, we talked about like wanting to have the number 2 pick and not number 1. Because you could be a team that already had a power forward and already had a small forward and wouldn't want to draft Zion. Yeah. And then you could get Ja to be your point. Right. And as we've seen, obviously nobody wanted Zion to get hurt, but that's happened. Hasn't even played yet. He's probably not even going to play till after the new year, which is pretty disappointing for the New Orleans Pelicans who had all this hype around him. But Ja's really just, taking over that role as the general with the Grizzlies, and they have a young team with Jaren Jackson Jr., so that's going to be a duo we can watch for the next 10 years.
For sure.
Well, I think clearly Kendrick Nunn statistically is the leader of the pack. I really love what Ja Morant is doing. The difficulty of his rookie season is so high. His age, the fact that he's having like a Donovan Mitchell-esque season where he's like leading the team and actually taking a team way above where it should be because he is, learning to really become a leader. I would have Ja Morant as my rookie of the year as well, just because I respect so much what he's doing this year.
Yeah, Memphis.
That's what I'm saying. He's like, it's such a high difficulty situation. He's not gonna get really the shine of for what he's really doing. A lot of those points were high difficulty. A lot of times he did some really clutch things. Like he hit a buzzer beater against my Jazz. It was painful. He's really, really impressive. Though, I mean, can we acknowledge Kendrick Nunn, undrafted? That's the pick of the year. I mean, it's the value of what the Miami Heat got for that. They should be commended for that. Like you said, Rui Hachimura was like, he was really lambasted in the draft, saying, this guy's a bust.
Yeah,
and
nobody would even touch him.
He's done fantastically.
He's averaging 16 and 8.
I have a hot take here. I still think Zion is in contention for this. I think he can make a second half of the season run that, these guys that we are talking about, they're in really low market situations with no TV. I really feel like Zion Williamson could snag this and steal it, just like Ben Simmons stole it from Donovan Mitchell. I feel you, Ja. I know what could happen to you.
What stat line would Zion have to put up for the second half of the season to do that?
He'd have to average 23 points a game to even make it close, and I don't think anybody's going to vote for him off of 40 games unless he puts out some historic type
He'd
of
have to come out crazy, averaging like
second half. You know what I'm saying? So and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't even know if Zion's going to come back and be the same right off the bat. Like, he's going to have to come back, get in basketball shape. Then they're going to play him like 15 minutes a game to start, not the full shot that he'd probably be playing. And, like, maybe he's overweight when he comes back. We've already seen pictures of him, and it looks like he's gained some weight. That was already a concern coming in. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as just Zion coming back and dominating. Like, it's going to take some doing on his part and on the Pelicans' part to even get him. Because the Pelicans, they're not some playoff team, but they've been playing pretty decent basketball. Like, Brandon Ingram has taken over. Yeah. This is a guy who I thought was a bust for a long time, and he's really coming to his own this year. So to just say Zion would come back and take over, I think we got to pump the brakes on that one.
Yeah, you wrong, nigga.
No, I just think, you look at that team right now, and it's just – they got to be salivating at the potential of what Zion could really do. With Brandon Ingram emerging, I don't know. I think Zion could come in there and do some pretty efficient work.
Because another rookie on the Pelicans that's really surprised me, Jackson Hayes, the center, he's good. I like what he's been able to do.
It's a good team.
They're good. I think they're 2-3 years away. I think they could do something.
Oh, for sure. But I'm just saying, I think that there could be some stats accrued by Mr. Williamson. I really think it could be a very fun, interesting discussion later on in the season. But anyways, is that pretty good for the?
Yeah, I think the consensus is Kendrick Nunn is definitely the scouting pick of the year, but Ja Morant, I think, rookie of the year for sure. Yeah. Whatever scout said take Kendrick Nunn undrafted, that dude needs a raise.
Pat Riley killing it. You gotta give it to him because he's the one who makes the final pull and final trigger on these moves. So it's impressive.
Yeah. Shout out to the Irishman. What's your silver topic?
So my silver topic. This is a little fascinating, kind of embarrassing admission by the NFL. They said for the first time in the history of their sport, they're gonna review the officiating top to bottom. Which I thought was akin to when McDonald's said, "Oh, our chicken nuggets are now 100% chicken," It's like were you not doing this the whole time from the beginning of when you were doing this? This is incredible. This is the first time the NFL has reviewed their officiating. Oh, I wonder why the officiating is so bad. I wonder why this guy's team gets hosed every single week, every single year. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I have more thoughts on this, but what do you guys think?
First of all, don't ever play McDonald's like that, my nigga. They done got me through some tough times, all right? Don't play McDonald's.
With some unidentified meat from animals that you cannot tell me where they came from.
Hey, if that's what I could afford at the time. Don't play McDonald's. Don't ever do that, man. Don't ever do that. But like that, it is crazy though that the NFL is just now like we're because as a Saints fan, I'm like, dog, all the calls we don't get every week, like you could have been reviewing, you could have been investigating, all this kind of stuff. Watch some crazy thing come out, like what was the ref's name that they're doing the documentary that was getting
Tim Donaghy.
Something's gonna happen with that where we find out the mob has been paying these refs off and threatening to kill them so the LA Rams can win and shit. Like, watch that come out now that they finally investigate and review and all this kind of stuff. The NFL is just the leadership from top to bottom is just so bad. Roger Goodell is the most incompetent commissioner I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's just like this is just such an NFL move. Like we're gonna review the officiating, and
they're patting themselves on the back.
Right,
they're so proud of themselves for doing something they should have been doing in the 20th century.
It's just so just to be a football fan. I don't know. It's just so frustrating. But I don't know. What's up, Russ?
There's really not much you can say. Like, this is one of those things you hear and then you like silently sigh and shake your head in disappointment. Like, it's really sad that after all these years, after everything that happened with the Saints, after everything that's happened with the Tuck rule and all these other small, minute things in the NFL, that this is the first time that's happened. That's actually really sad to see. And the fact that that was a real admission a league made is shocking to me. After a lot of things that leagues don't admit, but the things you do admit, that's just as shocking. So it's sad. I would hope that the product gets better. I have no confidence that it will. And I don't think you should either as a fan until we actually see some real change.
Y'all know Bill Belichick calling up there like, do y'all have to? Do you have to review
Listen,
it? Like, come on.
They got their own stuff going on, which we will get to here soon.
Exactly.
Nah, Bill Belichick was like, I have an archive of tapes. If you want to review the refs, I have the world's largest collection outside of NFL films.
Right, they call Bill up like, hey, man, can we see some of them tapes, bro? Like, come on, man.
It is scary because, the NFL and the NFL does not have an actual partnership with the refs. It's a third-party mercenary type situation.
Really, it's like an independent contractor type
Yeah,
thing?
they are, and you're getting people. Generally, it's lawyers, but sometimes it's like insurance salesmen. And this is their part-time gig, and so. You have all these mandatory off-season things for the players, and yet the refs, it's just like a part-time gig. Like they're seasonal workers, like they work at a Disney. I mean, it's unbelievable. We really, if you make that much money, NFL, and you can improve your product so easily by just paying these guys full-time for the whole year.
In fairness to the officials, I will say a lot of them, it's not just like you have a new mailman at Christmas time. It's not like that where somebody's untrained and it's like drop this mail off. They are trained. They are, you know what I'm saying? Like you have guys who have been doing it for years. But I think right now the issue that the league is having is the officials that everybody used to know for years, the Mike Careys, the Ed Hockley's, the really solid officials. All those guys are getting old and they're retiring. And then you have this new crop of officials coming in who are still learning on the job. And the league is, and some of the official referee correspondents around the league on different channels have said, you have new officials out there that are still learning the game and going at full speed. Like you can practice as much as you want, but until you're like, you're officiating a real game, like it's hard to really grasp everything. So I think I'm in my mind, I'm hoping that this is something that corrects itself as the years go by, and get back to a point where officiating was at least tolerable. I know in a job where, we have all these high speed, slow down cameras. I got 4K. I got a better view of the replay at my house than you do, and you just watch the play a foot in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that can make a job hard. But I do think the goal should be getting these calls right, and let's hope that that's what happens now.
Yeah, it's definitely not happening at the rate we're hoping for. Hopefully they'll put some money into it. They won't. Anyways, so should we move on to the gold?
Yeah, let's move on to the gold. Russ, what's your gold?
My gold is the guy we all think is going to be the NFL MVP. That is one Mr. Lamar Jackson, the quarterback out of Louisville, who has really torn up the NFL this year and really shown people what he can do. This guy has put up monster numbers, nearly 4,000 yards of total offense, 40 touchdowns, 33 passing, 7 rushing. Broke the NFL record for rushing yards by a quarterback with 2 games left to play, 1,103 yards. Has only turned the ball over, believe 9 times. He has 6 interceptions and 6 fumbles, but he's only lost 1. So that's 7 turnovers. I think there's no way that he's not the runaway MVP. I think Russell Wilson is great, but Russ has kind of tailed off this last couple of weeks, and Lamar's continued to thrive. So what he's doing is not only awesome for the game, awesome for him, but it's historic. If you look at how, one, African-American quarterbacks have been viewed throughout the years, I think, 2, this is a great thing for the next generation of football fans. I think we're all kind of close in age where when we were kids, Mike Vick was coming up and tearing up the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Right. And there's a lot of kids out there who are like, oh, my God, Lamar Jackson is my favorite player in the NFL. Right. And kind of are in awe like we were when Mike Vick was doing his thing with the Falcons for all those years. So I think it's really cool to see and I think players acknowledge like how amazing of a season this guy's having. Like the Jets, and after their loss, they got thrashed by the Ravens, and you had guys lined up to get a signed Lamar Jackson jersey. So it's really cool to see what he's done after all the people doubted him, and then people made bad scouting reports on what this dude was going to be in the NFL, and he's really shut up a lot of critics this season.
Man, if I can count like so many critics that said you need to take Sam Darnold over Lamar Jackson. This nigga Sam Darnold was saying he was seeing ghosts on the field and shit. So like, bro, like you got Lamar Jackson.
And then Tim Ryan was saying he was seeing footballs.
Right, you got Lamar Jackson, man, putting on for the dark-skinned community, hiding the ball from the defense and everything. Like, I love it. It's great. He broke Michael Vick's record with games left in the season. Like, I feel like on that alone is the MVP. He's got that on lock. And just to make the statement last week, he wears the all-white sleeves with the white gloves just to show, like, yeah, bro, like, I'm good at football. It's not my dark skin holding the ball. I just run a 4.3. Like, you're an idiot.
Let me help you guys.
Right. And so it's just like, so it's so cool. He's had so many statement games. He's had so many. I feel like every year for an MVP in any sport, you got to have that one play that shows you're just head and shoulders over everybody. And I think earlier in the season, that play where he makes that spin move in the middle of the field on 2 players against the Bengals, makes them run into each other, and he scores a touchdown. Like that's MVP level highlight play right there. And shout out to Lamar Jackson, man. He definitely, I think, has the MVP on lock. I think he's had the MVP on lock for really like the last 2 to 3 weeks. And it's exciting just because like you said, like I remember being a kid and everybody, when we play outside, we want to be Michael Vick, and we play Madden and we want to play with Michael Vick. And so like to be a kid now to get to see what Lamar Jackson's doing is they're definitely having that same feeling. Because I have that same feeling as an adult, like watching him, like, yo, this is crazy that we get to experience this. So I've gotten to see Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick in the same lifetime. So that's really dope.
Yeah, well, I think Lamar Jackson is the first quarterback we've ever had. Michael Vick was kind of the predecessor, but he's really the true first quarterback we've ever had that plays like you would play Madden.
Yeah.
And he has achieved like the perfect Madden player on the field.
Yeah.
The way that he manipulates the defense by always presenting that threat of I could run 7 yards out of bounds and maybe even more, or I could just throw it to Mark Andrews and company. And so he has just found a great balance of threatening people with his legs, but staying in the pocket at times and throwing. The amount of times he has run up to 1 yard before the line of scrimmage and then thrown the ball has been painful. He did that once against the Jets this week. It was 4th and 2. 28-7 in the third quarter. It was 4th and 2 on their own side of the field. And look at the confidence John Harbaugh had in his offense and his quarterback to say, we're going to get 2 yards here. Of course we are. We got the MVP of the league on our team. But the one question I will pose to you guys before we move on from this topic is, Steve Young said it best. You can run those plays and you can continually run the quarterback draws, and then you get hit one time really hard. Now try to call the play cogently next time in the huddle and then try to make the right decisions on the field. Yeah. Do you think that this will carry over into the playoffs for him and it'll be successful all the way into the Super Bowl? Or will they, in the playoffs, will they have kind of a stagnation in offense because they're facing better defenses, colder temperatures, and everything's magnified in the playoffs? Do you think we're going to maintain this level of production into December and January?
Personally, I think we will. One, I'll answer the first part of your question about can he stay healthy and it only takes one hit. There was a stat I saw today on Twitter that, their offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, deserves a lot of credit for the offense that he put together, built it around Lamar Jackson and his strengths and what he could do with the football. And it's really paid off. This guy has 40 touchdowns with 2 games left. Like, it's possible he could have 50 touchdowns total on the season. But Greg Roman has put his quarterbacks in positions to succeed, and that also means being on the field. He was also the offensive coordinator for the 49ers when they had Colin Kaepernick at his height. And I think in Colin's years as his quarterback and Lamar, I think Colin missed 1 or 2 games. So I think he knows how to keep a quarterback with that skill set healthy. To your point about the playoffs, there's nobody's giving them a real challenge. That's why I think this is sustainable. And then the other part, their offense is built for cold weather, to be honest. They've been thriving in warm weather and indoors and have been putting up monster numbers. So when it gets cold and teams aren't running the football and all of a sudden they have to run a football, They run for 200 yards a game off rip. And then you're going to add cold weather where, now we're really going to get into it and really, get black and blue and wear you down. That's a team you don't want to see at all.
For sure.
No, I think they will continue. It's fascinating. This level of production is almost unprecedented. And so
no, it's unreal.
I'm curious, but I think he really he reminds me of Russell Wilson, but even more improved. He has such awareness of where everyone is on the field, and then he has that Barry Sanders like ability or Emmitt Smith where you can hit me, but you're gonna glance off me. You're not gonna get that full shot, And he knows how to always make sure it's never a full shot. So I really do think this could be his season throughout the entire season. It's just we've never really seen this type of offense in the playoffs. If they can execute it, it will be, like Niles said, unprecedented, historic.
Yeah, I gotta get a Ravens Chief matchup in the AFC in the playoffs. That would be amazing. Because I love what Lamar Jackson has been able to do, because I think it makes a guy like Mahomes coming off injuries, coming off a season that hasn't been the greatest, but he's still leading. I mean, they just had a big win last week, so it's a team that could really shake some things up in the playoffs. So I think this makes Patrick Mahomes hungry too. So I'd love to see a matchup between those two guys in the playoffs. I think it'd be fun. Eric, what's your gold?
Oh man, my gold. There's stuff that happens every year, it seems, and this year it's a yearly tradition. The Patriots are caught cheating again. Just seems to happen every year. They were filming again, I feel like Bill Belichick has more films than Scorsese at this point. He's just always just filming people. So the Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals, he put in a formal complaint to the NFL that there was this film crew at a practice. They're filming the Bengals sideline. And the Patriots at first were saying, oh, it's part of a film. It's part of a documentary called "Do Your Job," and we follow someone from the Patriots organization, and it's their day of what they would do for us. This was our advanced scout. We were following him. He was going to be scouting the Cincinnati Bengals, but it was still sly the way they did that. They got a press pass from the Browns, not from the Bengals. And so they never really informed the Bengals, and so there's just a lot of shady things that go into this. And then they've already changed their story and the talking points that they're presenting to try and shape the narrative. For instance, just today, they were now saying that Julian Edelman was filming something for his documentary that is not called Do Your Job. And now they're, it's like they've done all the stages of denial, including step 6, which is blame the Jews. And so, it's just like they've gone through every step now. Bill Belichick is like, oh, what plays do I have left on this? And so, what do you guys think? Like, can we ever trust the Patriots? My position on this, and I'll end it here, is Tom Brady. You can never deny that he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right. Number 2 to Montana at the very least, and he is definitely the greatest quarterback of his generation. But Bill Belichick is a cheater, and you can dismiss everything he's done as a coach via all these scandals. I would never compare him to the greats after year he has been found cheating. But what say you guys?
I mean, Bill Belichick is the only NFL head coach to have his own South Park episode about how he cheats, bro. They wrote a whole South Park episode
I
about
rest
this
my
dude.
Case, Your Honor.
Nobody else, he's that known for cheating that you could put it in a TV show episode and people would get it that don't really watch football. It's just crazy. And then my thing is the Bengals, bro. That's who we recording.
This shows how their addiction is to cheating. They do it for everybody. They even did it for the worst team in the NFL. The worst team.
Have the Bengals won a game?
One. They've won one game.
And then some dude from the Bengals was like, yeah, they had to record us. That's the only way they could beat us. I was like, okay, slow your roll, nigga.
Hold on now, bro. Right.
I was like, my nigga, you still play for the Bengals. Yeah, they cheated, but they was going to whoop your ass either way, bro. He said they had to do that to beat us. I was like, so what was everybody else's excuse? They didn't record.
Right. Everybody else cheating too.
I was like, so everybody cheating to beat the Bengals this year? Is that what the conspiracy was?
Yeah, if it wasn't the Patriots, it was any other team. They could say we were filming a comedy special.
And then it's crazy. And then I didn't even know about the documentary thing. That is the slyest shit I've ever heard in my life. It's like, yeah, we were filming a documentary, so we just posted up at your practice with 6 cameras.
How would that work, by the way? Hey, we're walking into a bank with ski masks. Oh, we're just filming a documentary. All right, put the money in the bag. We need it for the shot. What are you guys talking about? The Patriots are such liars. They're so evil. I can't believe they try to they get away with this every single year.
Yeah, where was that camera crew and what's his name? Robert Kraft was at them. Was at them happy
Do your
endings?
hand job.
Right, do your hand job. Where was the documentary crew then? I need to see that tape.
Y'all wildin'.
Oh my God.
What you think, Russ?
Well,
because we need to stop talking.
First of all, whoever said we need to see that tape, no, we don't. Second of all, I mean, yeah, if the Patriots continuing to cheat is frustrating, especially if you're one of these other teams in the NFL that are getting in trouble for less. But at the end of the day, if you're the Patriots, what are they going to do about it? What have they done about it before? So, I mean, until something really happens, okay, y'all mad.
This is a team, if they filmed The Little Giants, that movie, they would have Bill Belichick filming these little kids
exactly.
I know their one little play, the fumble Rooski. We're going to get this one play. We have tape on it. I mean, it is, people, we can make jokes about it. The NFL, what I really do love about it is the whole game is the schemes. That's the whole game. And you're filming them. it's just
it's great. Like the Patriots cheat more than that nigga Future, bro. Like that's Bill Belichick might as well become a trap rapper at this point. He cheats so much. That's crazy. Oh my god, that's mind blowing. Like they really use the documentary as the excuse. Like that's and the thing is, for them to do that, Goodell has let them get away with so much that they really thought that was gonna work. Oh my god.
Yeah. Well,
I guess I'll do my gold.
that was a good goal. That was fun.
That was great. I guess I'll do my gold. We'll talk about the top two teams in the NBA right now.
Yes.
We got the Lakers, who after tonight are 23-3, and then we got the Bucks, who are 22-3. They're playing. I think they actually are playing right now. They're the two top teams in the league record-wise. The Bucks are number one in the East. The Lakers are number one in the West. The Lakers have two MVP candidates. The Bucks, I think, have the MVP candidate. But I want to talk about who do we think is the better team. I know it might be a little early to tell. We've only seen about a quarter of the season so far. But I think I hate to say I don't want to say this is a lock for the NBA Finals, but from what we've seen from the rest of the league, I think this is who we're going to see in June. Because the way these two teams play, I don't see another team in their conference beating them in a 7-game series. But who do you guys think are better, the Lakers or the Bucks?
Right now, I think that personally, it's the better team is the Milwaukee Bucks. However, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are playing better basketball. They have a better coach, and when the deal goes down, they're the team that I would bet on. However, the other team has two, like you said, Niles, two MVP candidates. And the rest of the NBA's nightmare came true because the Lakers are not only playing well, but LeBron is playing well as the point guard. AD has slid right into his role and has continued right where he left off in New Orleans. And they've gotten contributions from guys that they didn't know they'd get contributions from. Like, after a miserable start, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has found some semblance of a game.
Yeah.
Alex Caruso has played really valuable minutes for them off the bench. Dwight Howard has changed his whole game, changed his body to get back to the physical specimen that he was, shed some weight, and he's playing he might be in the argument for sixth man of the year. He's playing that well off the bench. So the Lakers right now, to me, are the best team in the NBA. And it doesn't have anything to do with what the Bucks are doing wrong, but they have two guys and the Bucks have one. Like, as much as I love Chris Middleton, like in the NBA Finals, they have one guy who can guard LeBron or AD. But on the flip side, if Giannis is guarding AD, LeBron's going off. If Giannis is guarding LeBron, AD's going off. But on the other end, they could stop either. You know, and then there's somebody else who has to take that next step, and they don't have that like a team like the Clippers can do. So,
yeah,
as well as I think they play and are coached, I do think the Lakers are the better team.
Well, I think what Russell was touching on was the most consistent team, the most hardest playing team is going to be the Bucks, but the team with the highest ceiling of the two is going to be the Lakers. You know,
absolutely.
You know, the Lakers, what they can present matchup-wise with their length and with their talent and with everyone playing up to what they could play to potential-wise, they could be the best team. But I actually still think the Clippers would be a hair ahead of the Lakers in terms of potential and ceiling. But can we see that consistently in a 7-game series? You know, we'll see. Maybe the load management will pay off by then. But it's gonna be very interesting. I would still say the Lakers are the best because when they are at their best and they are still gelling and they're gonna get over the year they're gonna gel together and get better together than the Bucks will because the Bucks they've already had that experience. The Lakers are gonna grow into something more quickly, more sooner because they're just new. And I really think the Lakers will have the edge by the end of the year, barring any health injuries.
Can any East team beat the Bucks in a 7-game series?
This year, no.
I'd say no, but I think it's hard. It's hard saying that because, like we touched on earlier, the Sixers are so talented, but I don't see, them doing it just because I believe in the Bucks that much. I believe in their system. I believe in their coach. I believe in Giannis being the best player in the league. Like, all of those things make me pick them over the best the Sixers have to offer. I don't think Toronto can beat them as well as Pascal Siakam is playing, and I think they're coached pretty well too. I don't think their talent matches up at the end of the day. So no, I don't see anybody beating them in the East.
Yeah, I think they definitely make it out of the East, but any West team they play, I think losing Malcolm Brogdon is definitely going to be a hit because
it's big.
The way Malcolm Brogdon could control the game in the games and how great he was handling the ball and then also defending point guards on the other side of the floor, I think that's going to be something they really miss when they have to match up against a Western Conference team in the finals.
Yeah, I think in the end, the two teams that they look to face, the Clippers or the Lakers, I still see either one of them having an edge in terms of potential and ceiling, but you got to admit, the Bucks are playing the most consistent. They want it the most.
Yeah.
They're very formidable, but in the end, it's all based off of one guy. So there's more of a likelihood, and there's a larger margin of error, for the other teams than for the Bucks, because with the Bucks, it's all on one guy's shoulders, and if he falters even just a little bit, then it's a completely different conversation.
Right. Okay. Russ, what's your goal?
I did Lamar, so we're good.
Yeah,
my bad.
through.
Is that
this
it?
is Podium of Shame time.
Look at that.
Podium of Shame.
Look at us. All right.
Yeah, very efficient show
Well,
today.
Russ, what's your Podium of Shame?
All right, I'm going to keep it with the Patriots topic. My Podium of Shame is the fake showrunner for the Patriots fake documentary because he got thrown under the bus for everything that's going wrong right now. So sucks for you, dude. Whoever you are, fake guy out there, maybe Manti Te'o's girlfriend from way back in the day doesn't exist. So I just think that's a hilarious story that they blamed a fake documentary for the reason that they were spying on the Bengals practice.
That's crazy. What about you, Eric?
My Podium of Shame goes to the media for their coverage of Lizzo at the Lakers game. I mean, what was the big deal? There's girls who show their ass at Lakers games every game. They're called Laker girls. Yeah. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
And some women who've just had too many beers at the game.
And,
so, I've seen it.
She should be paid to be on the courtside anytime they play the Timberwolves, apparently. There's a big plus or minus difference when she was out.
I think it's a conspiracy, man. They paid Lizzo to come up there and hit on Karl Anthony Towns. He had such a bad fourth quarter. I think it's a conspiracy there.
She played great D.
But no, man, let Lizzo do her thing. I think Lizzo fine.
Yeah, I thought it was just overplayed. I was like, this is a news story. While our president is getting impeached, we're covering this crap.
Come
Are you
on,
kidding
man.
me?
Let her wear whatever hole in her shirt she wants to wear.
Yeah. I was just such a nuts story.
I want to jump in real quick to touch on. I think at least it wasn't the sports media covering that. It was all the other weird people out there that were thinking that was a story.
Right.
I do think that it is very unsanitary to wear what she wore and be sitting on public seats like that. Like, you don't know who sat there, and to sit a bare bottom
That's the thing,
on public seating is
all
weird.
kinds of people that sit on them seats. Like Post Malone could have been sitting on that seat the week before.
Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Anybody, man.
Yeah. So, besides that, but hey, I'm not mad at the shirt, though. Not mad at it all. Not mad at all. My Podium of Shame goes to the New Orleans Saints defense. Y'all niggas is abysmal. I know a lot of people listening don't even know what that word means. It means them niggas was bad. It was terrible, bro. You let them score 48 points. Drew Brees put up 46 points. If Drew Brees puts up 46 points in the Superdome, we should win that game. It doesn't matter. We should win that game if Drew Brees puts up 46 points in the Superdome at home. And I saw a very interesting stat. So the Saints scored with about a minute left in the game to take the lead. Drew Brees leads all quarterbacks with the most go-ahead touchdown or field goal drives in the fourth quarter where the defense loses it for him on the next possession. This dude has scored the go-ahead touchdown or got the go-ahead field goal 21 times, and the Saints defense has let him down 21 times after getting the go-ahead lead. That is crazy. I think the closest quarterback had like 8. But Drew Brees has been let down by his defense 21 times after getting the go-ahead touchdown or field goal. And it's just like that.
That's rough.
That's terrible, and that's on the defense. He puts you in the position to win the game, and you don't do it. And I was down in the 49ers on our first episode. I mean, they really proved me wrong. They went 2-1 during that stretch. I thought they were gonna go 0-3. So good for the 49ers, man. But I think they stole one in the dome. I think we should have had that one. But final thoughts.
So salty and. So
I'm upset, man. I'm upset, and I can't. There's no slight to the 49ers. They played a great game. We did not come to play defensively. So no slight to the 49ers at all. They're a good team. I gotta apologize and swallow my words. Swallow what I said. So.
All right, Niles. Let's get on a different note here for you. What's your final thought? Let's change the tone of this.
Damn, y'all go first. I'm still thinking.
All right. Well, my final thought is still check out all the Channel 310 stuff, including Shut Your Ass Up. We just got put on Spotify, iTunes. Everything's about to be simulcast on Spotify and iTunes for Channel 310. So check out everything that we're doing. We have such a large library that you can have access to. Secret Black with Me, Blunts and Brunch, High Tonight Show, Small Talk Live. The list goes on, and of course the podium. All right,
my final thought is gonna go back to Lamar Jackson, and just enjoy what you're watching, man. When you're watching game, I think too many times people watch games and criticize and think of the negative. And when something great happens, they can't really enjoy the moment after. Well, this might not be sustainable. Well, this, well, that. Enjoy what you're watching, because you might not see it again. Like what we have seen out of Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick was a once in a generation type player, and to see another guy like that, it's amazing to see. Just like with LeBron and Luka, like you got to enjoy that when you see it. So Lamar Jackson is killing it right now, and for all the kids who love football out there, you have somebody to watch.
My final thoughts, I'm going to name a player maybe a lot of people don't really know about that's killing it right now. If you're new to the NBA or you don't really know players, man, look at this dude, Devontae Graham. He is killing it right now. He's probably number one for most improved player. I mean, this dude is a rookie, started 3 games and averaged like 3 points. This dude is averaging 21 points, 6 assists for the Charlotte Hornets right now. He's only, for 3-pointers made, he's only second to James Harden. This kid is killing it. This is his second year out of Kansas. He's really good. I love watching him play in college. I mean, he could just shoot the 3 all day. And just to see how his game has developed over one season, he didn't really get the playing time that he really wanted. But he's really doing his thing with Charlotte. So that dude right now, not many people are talking about him, but go look at his stats. Go look him up. Look up the Charlotte Hornets and see what he's doing. He's probably gonna.
He's getting buckets.
He's probably gonna be most improved player. All right. I think that's it, man. Thank you guys for listening. See y'all next week.
If it ain't yak, send that shit back. If it ain't yak, send that shit back. If it ain't yak, send that shit back. Oh, send that shit back, nigga.